Well, 63 pubs, 17 breweries. Lewis had that many in the middle of the 19th century. But it didn't mean that they were all heavy drinkers. On the contrary, the drink that they got in those pubs is probably much milder than the drink we get today. But the reason there were 63 pubs was that in Lewis, and in many parts of the country for that matter, the water was undrinkable. And so families would trot off to the pub, children included, so that they could have something to drink that wasn't going to kill them. The other thing was that we tend to think of nowadays that we can heat houses and we can stay warm in 1,000 different ways. Well, perhaps not 1,000, but a good many. And for some reason, we didn't really pick up on what the Romans did, because they introduced, I think that there's an example of it in Fishbourne in West Sussex, they introduced central heating with hot water floating through channels to keep the houses, their villas, warm. We seem to have lost that skill for a long while. So in the middle of the 19th century, in the 1830s and 1840s and 1850s, houses, particularly in the winter, were pretty damn miserable places. They were cold. And to make sure that they could get warm for at least part of the day, families would trot off to the nearest pub, and they would sit and they would drink and they would be jolly, and they would actually cozy up to the person next to them and get some heat. Well, forgive me if I'm a little itch, but occasionally just a little itch gets in the way. These pubs, by the way, I mean, there are not many, but several of them extant in Lewis, no longer pubs. And some of them were no more than houses. And people would virtually go into the front room and they would sit down and have a few drinks with their neighbours and friends, and they would get warm and they would get jolly, and they would drink at least something that they knew wasn't going to kill them. So I'm quite interested in the history of the pubs, and I unearthed a film made in 1944. And it's a bit idealistic, but nonetheless, it was made about the history of pubs and what pubs were like leading up to the end, by the way, not the beginning, the end of the Second World War. So that is the next programme in this third part of Scene in Sussex. I hope you enjoy it. It's only brief, but we're going to bring you the entire film over the next 3 weeks. Bit by bit, and we've tried to break it into reasonable parts. And that's followed by how to write lyrics for a song. Not really how to, but how, one lady, it's you'll be scratching me under the armpits next. How one lady does it for her sister. And the two of them are a terrifically talented team. And I bumped into Star Jackson, perhaps 15 years ago, when I was in Armenia. And she was obviously a very, very bright and very talented young lady. And we've stayed in touch over the years. And when her sister released her first song, the first major song, we played it on Mirador. And I'm happy that we did, because we use it as the backdrop to our series on the Priory. As you know, we're very keen on history, and the Priory throws up 1,000 stories. And the very first one that we did, Yeva, Star's sister, sang the song that is the backdrop to that program. So two sisters incredible characters. Note the spectacles, but an interesting story, I think, and we'll hear more from them as Mirador goes forward. So that's it for the third part and the final part of Seen in Sussex for this week. I hope that you enjoyed it. We'll try and get better. We're always trying to get better. We appreciate that we make some mistakes, sometimes dreadful mistakes, but that's what local television is all about. So please join us. Please enjoy this third part, and I look forward to seeing you in the not too distant future. Piddle pip.
Flanked by the church, the rectory and the people's homes stands the inn. In its shade and beneath its roof, men of all degrees and of all opinions meet in comradeship and comfort. Walk through any English market town and you'll find the inn at the center of its life. On market day, the people from the country around meet there to discuss the trend of prices, their children's health and their home affairs. It's the same in the villages. When the sun warms the earth, they sit outside and watch the world go by. At the English inn today, there is a hospitality that to the host is just as much a sacred charge as it was to the monks and barons in the Middle Ages, who first gave bread and ale to travellers. Often the only sanctuary in out-of-the-way parts, the monasteries had a lodge open to pilgrims and wayfarers. Later, these lodges became separate establishments and were eventually run as inns, under such signs as the Pilgrim's Inn. One example of monastic origin is the Bull, which gets its name from the papal bull, or bill, not the animal. These inns of England have seen history happen in their yards. Pilgrims and warriors have trodden their stairways. Here, medieval knights refreshed themselves on their journeys to the Crusades, to fight under the banner of St. George. The inns have preserved much of England's architecture. The early inn has preserved some of the finest carvings and treasures. Like the church, it was a sanctuary. Hence, most of these carvings have a religious meaning.
Warm greetings from Yerevan, Armenia to London, UK, Lewis, more precisely. So my name is Star, and my good friend Keith asked me to record a video which will be telling how me and my sister are creating the songs. So basically I just wanted to greet the Mirador TV and express my gratitude for giving me a chance to tell you how it's all happening. So probably in the previous programs you've seen the song of Yeva, because Keith has put her song several times on a TV, and that is why today I'm just going to tell you basically how the song creating process is happening and how it becomes a reality when you have just a raw material, a song, and music, and then you need to put and stamp and carve words in it to give it a more elegant look, so to say. And before we pass on to the part where I will tell you how am I creating the lyrics to the music created by Yeva Sujan, I will just tell you a little bit what it looks like basically. The song creating process is much like a factory. Imagine you produce something in a factory, so you got a raw material that goes through so many machinery until it comes out in the final result, just resulting in something good and productive and useful for the people. So much the same we can tell about his songs. So song or a music is a material, like you can see these roses over here, they smell pretty good. So, what was I saying? Yeah, so basically the song or the music is the same. Like the music is the raw material that goes through this factory. It is produced by my sister. She composes something within the range of her imagination and her feelings, emotions. She put it all into it. And then later when this music comes out, of this machinery creating process, it is passing on to the second phase, which is called the creating of the lyrics to the song. And basically what you do is you stamp and carve those words into that music, and which makes it pretty cool and awesome. But before we pass on to the second part of how it is done, I just want you to view a short video of me and my sister just creating and of the creative process, how this music creating process is being produced. So now let's take a short break and watch this video, and afterwards I'll be back and tell you how the rest goes.
Gina. Ooh. Yay. Tawag ka, Jiber.
So you've seen how all this process is happening, and you've seen my sister just sitting behind a keyboard and creating music. So afterwards, this creative process is finished. Now it's my turn.
Never bring you down, I'll leave you alone. Trust him all in all, 'cause he's alive. times. He never let you go, and he'll be there for you, and he'll be there for you. He'll never bring you down or leave you alone. Trust him all enough, 'cause he's the light, and he leads your way through darkest of times.
So that's it. Star Jackson and her sister Yeva leave us. I hope that we've brought some stuff to you. January, me trying my Sunday lunch. And I'm sorry if it sounds as if I was taking the pee out of some of the present food shows. I was. I'm fed up with turning on the television only to find there are 27,000 people all telling me how I should cook stuff with food elements that I've never heard of before and will never hear of again. And actually, when they are quizzed about them, they've never heard of them either. So I thought that perhaps it might be a bit light-hearted for you to show how, on one occasion anyway, I cook my own Sunday lunch. All right, until next week, then, this is Keith Hayes, and glad to have you with us, and I hope that you'll come back many a time. Till then, toodle pip. Well, there we are. We're able to look back. What we do. Oh, Shannon, come and say hello, Shannon. You're going to come and say hello. Here she is. It is the face of the White House. Lovely lady. Okay, here we go now. We're back in the real world. It is 11 minutes past 11. I think that probably we are not going to get Andrew from New York. And so I think it is time for us to say toodle pip. Glad you could be with us. Tomorrow, well, it'll be a mishmash and a mixed bag. But we hopefully will have some stuff that will appeal to you and will make you return to us. We're quite happy to have. I keep on seeing this. I wonder what it is. Let's play it while we've just got a moment. Well, now I know. Okay, so that's it for this week, for today. We'll be with you tomorrow, bright and early, and hopefully I can get this thing with my phone resolved. Toodle pip.